Hey, guys, sorry I'm like 2 weeks late. I got caught up looking at my mustache.
Have you seen this beard? Also, that guy's
What?
beard. Look at that guy's beard. Goatee, mustache, full beard.
We're pretty.
Hello and welcome back to another fantastic episode, Travelers of the Long Road. As always, I'm Logan, joined by my partner in crime, the defender of motherboards that are too old to put in computers now, and dogs. Herds of dogs. Logan Rickett.
Oh, I thought that was Sam.
Yeah, no, I thought that was...
Nope. I'm getting to that. And today we have a special guest, Sam Corbin, joining us from out in the Knoxville area as well. Sam's a longtime friend of the show and of us. Man, it all goes back to that time that Logan and Sam lived next to the meth addicts by the river.
That's true.
It's
That
true.
was a good time.
Those were really good days.
Okay, guys, this was like the heyday of LAN parties. We used to go to their house, which wasn't that big. No offense, guys. It was not that big.
Wasn't.
It was the size of my
as this
bedroom.
room.
Yeah.
And we would have, Logan's bedroom is technically the laundry room.
It's
That was a
true.
good time.
No, so we would do Call of Duty Black Ops just came out. Zombies.
First
we
Black Ops.
have the main
first.
TV in the living room. There would be two more on the kitchen table, which was half in the living room anyway. And then like one more TV like on whatever we could find to put it on with
Stove.
4 Xboxes just like hooked up, and we would for hours play zombies.
Wires running everywhere.
And it was a fire hazard, no doubt.
I got the electric bill. It was like $438. I was like, good Jesus, what on earth happened?
Good times.
He slapped Logan. He's like, "Stop! You go somewhere else to do that shit."
No more LAN parties.
That's also so. We've mentioned it a time or two before. Sam's House of Brew.
Oh yeah, those were.
Which I guess are in episode 7 or 9. I don't know. One of them, the Suicide Burger episode. We took Sam's replica of what's the Lord of the Rings sword?
That was what was that? Oh crap! You put me on the spot. I don't remember what the name of that sword was. It's a Sealdor sword.
Who had it? I've never seen the movies. I have no idea.
Oh,
Whose sword
it was
was it?
Aragorn's sword.
I cut an onion with like a movie grade replica of Aragorn's sword, and also opened a beer with it. And Sam didn't know he got the sword, and he came out and he's like, "Put that down! What are you fucking?" Oh God, so many good times. So God. Yeah.
So you may not know this, but I don't know if I even mentioned it in my anger of you cutting an onion and opening a beer with it. But I got that for my 18th birthday as like a passage into manhood symbol. And
So I cut an onion with your manhood.
Yep. And here's Tyler Parker over here, just like opening a beer, cutting an onion.
Just drunk as piss, trying to cut an onion with a size broadsword. Like it was.
It was
And I
full
wish you
size.
could see your face was so innocent, like, huh?
What?
I don't understand. What am I doing wrong?
Oh, good times.
Good times.
God, so many good times.
And just to explain, our neighbors weren't, well, we don't know 100% what they were into. But
Okay,
there was definitely
here's-
meth involved.
This is the details.
Yeah.
They had power for 3 days at a time, which means they were stealing it. Okay, 1. 2, it was a single wide that half of it looks like it had collapsed in, and we knew people were living there because for 3 days out of the month we saw it. 3, the night we heard the man ask where his meth fairy is.
Meth fairy.
Yeah.
We don't know for sure they were on meth.
Heavily implied.
What was her name?
I can make it.
Jolene? Josephine?
Jolene
Jolene.
the meth fairy.
Jolene. Where's my meth fairy?
Oh, God.
As
Whatever
loud
that
as you
means.
hear. Yep.
I also got. I don't want to tell that story.
Probably wise.
Oh,
Yeah, we're gonna get flagged if I tell that story, so I'm not gonna tell that story.
Probably wise.
we'll tell you that. We'll tell you that later.
Oh, Logan knows because I've had an existential crisis since that moment.
Oh,
I'm not gonna tell what happened. I'm gonna say this: I, on a metaphysical and physical level, became one with the porch for 6 hours, and it was the most fantastic experience of my life. I didn't know that I was supposed to be a porch until I was one, and I'm sad every day that I'm not a porch again.
one day you will return to the porch.
If I get the lottery, I'm buying that house just so I can rejoin the porch.
We should. Has anybody driven by there just to take a look at, like, I don't know, what it looks like?
I'm afraid.
Is it burned down? I don't know.
I think it's still there. I think
should.
they cleaned it up.
Huh.
I drive by there every day
Just swing through
to
there.
come home. Well,
Yeah, you should just swing by and just be like, is that house still there? Like,
Oh,
I'm gonna send you guys a picture.
we should. We
Please
should.
Do I work tomorrow? What's tomorrow? Thursday?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm at the shop tomorrow. Yeah, because when I'm not working at the firehouse, I work at Dad's shop. So
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm
cool.
there all the time.
That'd be awesome to see. Just to be like, oh, it's still there. Ah.
Ah, it's still trash.
Oh, look, there's still mushrooms growing in the windows. No, I'm kidding.
That's a different story. We're not allowed to tell on the internet.
It wasn't that bad, I promise. It was small. I liked it. I
thought it was
really
cool.
did. It was really dope for like small get-togethers.
Oh yeah.
Like you could have 5-6 people over there, and it felt like a raging
And
house party.
somehow we would get
without
6
the raging
cars in
house
there.
party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did we
was
fit
good.
6 cars in that parking spot?
Yeah.
Oh God. Or 7 at that time that the Explorer's wheel fell off while it was just parked.
Oh, I missed that vehicle. Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
Good
Yeah,
times.
we would have like 6 people over there and it'd be like a full-on rager is what it would be like.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It would feel like a full-blown house party, but you didn't have full-blown house party mess. Like, everybody would go home,
No.
like, there might be 3 cans that didn't get thrown away. It's like,
Right.
We've had like 20 people there somehow. And a
Oh,
one
yeah,
bedroom.
we've had a lot of people there.
That was the
half
New Year's EVVVV party,
Yep.
and we invited Riss and Cody brings the whole Blairsville crew from Owltown,
Yeah.
which we should have known was a bad idea.
Never party with
If you-
Owltown. That's
ladies
a
and
t-shirt.
gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, if you have
Right.
never partied with the good folks of Owltown, they go next level.
Owltown.
I'm not capable. You have to live in Owltown to go.
I don't claim to be from Allentown. That's down the road from my house originally, so that's not my crew.
How far from the homestead, the original homestead there is Owltown?
It's over the ridge, so it's a good 12.
Oh, it's a good
miles.
ridge away. That's a unit of
It
measurement.
literally is over the ridge.
that's
so
that's I don't know, man. That's an Owltown speak right there.
They're the next ridge over. Ah,
true.
got it. Say no more, fam.
We're closer to the Blue Ridge side. We're the
Okay. All right, fair. All right, so, man, all these trips down memory lane, we can talk about these forever. But let's
That's
get
another
down to the
episode.
nitty-gritty of it. Yeah, we should do it again with, like, memories.
Yeah, we should.
And we should find one person that we have no memories join in, like one person we just casually know. Just sit there and awkwardly.
Whenever Jared joins, we'll just tell him all these stories.
They're just gonna be sitting there going, I don't know what to do.
Are these supposed to be funny?
All right, so Sam's here for a very important reason. Now, I mentioned in the last episode that we filmed, or 2 episodes ago that we filmed,
Sure.
questions about Brexit and North Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, and what that could mean. As the whole process is going on, one of the things that people keep talking about is the potential for a hard border going back up between Northern Ireland, which is part of the UK, and the Republic of Ireland. Is it the Republic of Ireland?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay, just making sure. And the Republic of Ireland, which is its own country. Now, they're both the same island, but it's just like a border between them. North Ireland is predominantly Protestant, it being part of the UK. and the Republic of Ireland is predominantly Catholic, it being Ireland proper there. So the potential with a hard border turning, because if I'm not mistaken, it was part of like the violence with the IRA back in the day was them enforcing a hard border. And I'm genuinely curious as to what the people in the area are, thinking, how they're feeling about the situation. And luckily for us, Sam spent some time in Ireland and has quite a few connections over that way. And he is going to inform all of us about the things going on and how the people there that he knows feel about the whole situation. So Sam, take it away, my friend.
Yeah, so just to kind of give you guys a little bit of background, I lived in Ireland for, I lived there for 4 months in 2015, and then I lived there another 4 months in 2016, on and off throughout both those years. And so, yeah, I kind of made a bunch of friends there, and I kind of got an idea of like I mean, it's really hard. I think even Irish people have a hard time understanding like the past political turmoil that's kind of gone on between the North and the South, because it is so confusing. Like the IRA, for instance, the Irish Republican Army, is a thing today, and they're with us in the wars that they're usually allied with us as the United States through some of the wars that we've been through Desert Storm, through Iraqi freedom. They fought alongside us there. But then there's I think it's the OIRA, which is the original Irish Republican Army,
That's not
which is
confusing
considered
at all.
more of they're considered more of a
The rebels?
a terrorist organization almost.
Yeah. So all right, let me see if I got this right. So essentially, the IRA, the IRA that, like you're saying, the regular IRA is essentially the Republic of Ireland's army.
Correct.
Their military,
IRA,
their government are okay, and then the original IRA is the offshoot of, and
it's
the terrorist organization from back in the day.
Yeah, I mean it's confusing.
I don't want to use that term because from what I understand about the history, I understand. That's one of those ones, like, it sounds really messed up to say like, oh, I understand what, but I really do in their case understand, especially, like you said, the history goes back forever. Extra History did a 5-part episode on the potato famine.
Oh, wow.
And how that was greatly exaggerated. Like the effects of that were incredibly blown way worse than they should have been, because it was a power play by the politicians in London trying to civilize the Irish, and that is where a lot of this comes from. Like
true.
old school animosity between Ireland and the UK comes from the just absolutely horrific policies that came into place in the aftermath of everything going on in London, because they sought to use the potato famine as a way to, like I said, civilize Ireland, because it was just they didn't live the same way. Right. So sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder, but
no, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's really interesting just talking, because again, I mean, even just talking to the people that live in the Irish Republic or the Republic of Ireland, they're confused about it just as much as we would be here in the States, because it's just such a confusing past. All they can tell is they look at things like the attack on the library in Dublin, where England basically just came in and said, we're taking over Dublin, this is us now. And you had a bunch of scholars and authors and writers hold a revolution inside the post office, which is now a library, hence the library name. And that's what they see. That through history, that's what they see. Is they see just all these these, I guess, martyrs throughout their history of people that England's just oppressed or killed or fought against.
Another one, is that the same one as the Bloody Sunday?
Yep, Bloody Sunday's another one. That's in Northern Ireland, but yeah, same thing. I mean, it's just all of these numerous things where they're, like I said, it's not a very clear cut. These are the good guys. These are the bad guys. And now,
right.
Kind of now they look at it as, oh, well, we're all at peace now. Life's good. Everything's fine. North and the South, they get along. But then there's still some of those old remnants. I mean, like I have a friend of mine who's a farmer, and his dad is still a very stout IRA supporter. And it's like, yeah, like how do you? That's because I mean he's of that old era where it's like, oh, England, feck them is what they would say. But it's it's that staunch, strong stand against England. Whereas his son Keith, which I got to know real well, he didn't care. England's fine. I think he even has a job in London now. And so it's like there's just two different worlds kind of existing there. And so when you kind of go soft or hard border, it actually really is interesting to talk to him because you have two sides, similar to what you do now, politically throughout the history of Ireland. You have two sides. You have the very strong IRA supporters that are like, oh, if they do this, we're going to revolt, which I don't know how much Irish history you guys know, and it is rather boring, but Ireland has never won anything, ever. Ever. They just don't win things. Bless their hearts. I mean, like, they're full of the most creative and artsy people. Like, they're so smart, and they're so, they express themselves so artistically and so awesome. Like, I mean, James Joyce and, Cillian Murphy, those kind of people just are extremely good at what they did as far as the arts go. But they are not fighters. Oscar Wilde, right. They are not fighters. They just it's not what they were good at. And so
we actually, my favorite Oscar Wilde quote, we are all our own devils and we make this world our hell.
Ooh,
I like
nice.
Oscar Wilde. I love Oscar Wilde, actually.
Yeah, I actually camped above his house, which was really weird.
And now I hate you more.
There's a waterfall that's on the cliffs below his house that could have been run off from someone's house. We're not 100% sure. But either way, we saw it. We were like, ooh, that's cool. But anyway, yeah. So going back to like the hard and the soft border, I have a friend that lives in London. He did a trip about 4 weeks ago now. He did it from, I think he said it was from Clones from Northern Ireland basically to Monaghan, which is the Irish Republic's county below Northern Ireland. He crossed the border 4 times in that 50-mile stretch.
Really?
Now there's no there's no guards, there's no wires, there's
Was
no
the border
fence.
like this or something?
Yeah, it's essentially like
an S.
It's probably like it is like over off 175 here in Hayesville. There's a lot of land that's technically in North Carolina, and you cross in and out of North Carolina and Georgia.
Yeah.
Oh
before
yeah.
you get to it. And actually, interesting enough, those guys all have like Georgia addresses.
Yeah, it's really wild.
Yeah.
It's this little strip that kind of goes up and circles around and comes back down. So there's just like this peninsula of the Irish Republic, essentially, that jets into Northern Ireland. And so he's traveling down, I think it's called the A3 is what he called it, A3, Highway A3.
Okay.
And it goes straight through this little strip. And he passed the border 4 times going to a wedding. Like you said, he didn't see a guard, he didn't see a fence. He said, if I wouldn't have had my GPS going, I would have not even known I was going into the, another country. I would have no idea. He said, there's not even signs on the other side, so you don't even know whether you're coming or going. Doesn't matter. And that's exactly how the culture looks at it too. They don't care. Like it's not a big deal to them. Now, I think there's parts that are a little bit more strict, like closer to the sea. It's a little bit more strict just because of port security and stuff like that. but inland, it's just not there. It doesn't exist. So the idea of a hard border, he said it would be impossible. He said you couldn't. The economy for both Northern Ireland and the Republic would suffer because there's just no, especially for the North, because the North wouldn't have, because you have a lot of people in the Republic that work in England, technically. And they make that commute. And if they had to pass the border 4 times and they had to be stopped each time, it would be...
In England or in the UK?
In England. Or UK. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, because
So Northern Ireland.
England is a sector
Yeah.
of the UK. I'm just clarifying for the people at home.
Yeah, no.
Growing up, one of my best friends was British. I got to go to England in the 8th grade, and they explained to me all of the different parts of why it's the UK and not just England. And
Right.
also, I collected a pound. Each province has its own pound. The design on the back, so like the Scottish lines, and I brought back a set that was of all from the areas.
And my friend actually kind of brought up Scotland. He's like, it's kind of like Scotland. Like you go to Scotland, you go to Scotland. You're still in the UK, yes, but you're just going to Scotland. But technically, it's technically there's a border there, but it's part of the UK, so there's not really a border there. But I mean, he said it's the same way. Like, yeah, the Irish Republic or the Republic of Ireland is a separate country, yes, but if you were driving through the countryside, through the border, you would know. So I thought that was real fascinating just to know that. And he said there's farms. There's a ton of farms up especially in Monaghan, that kind of go between the borders. And neither country, the Republic or the UK, wants to like try to dispute that. That's how they lived, that's how they've been for years, and that's how it goes. So it's really interesting to think of what would happen if
something did happen.
All that kind of got thrown out the window, and somebody came in and was like, "We're going to change it up a bit." Because even to him, living in London, he's like, I can't imagine having to go home and figure all that out.
So is the UK? If England is the UK leaving the EU, or is it just England?
No, the UK.
UK, yeah.
Okay, I thought. Okay, that makes sense. Because if England was just leaving, that would obviously.
Yeah. Okay. Normally, they just colloquially call the UK England because that's London's the government seat and all that. Right. But in this case, since we're talking about in the British Isles and the issue with Ireland, to keep it straight, the UK is all, because the UK is England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland.
There's some islands to the north. I can't remember what the other.
The Isle of Man, I think, is its own territory. And then also, not even close, but Gibraltar is technically part of the UK as well. Down on the southern tip of Spain.
Right.
Yeah, it's really, and I think a lot of people, especially like in America, we all think Ireland and the UK are getting along perfectly fine, and they are. It's not like there's a Cold War going on. But if you even suggested, like if you were a politician in the Republic of Ireland, and you even suggested that, we need to put up a hard border, or we need to, basically do, if they suggested that they were going to be friendly with England, or complete allies with England, which they are, but if they were going to be, I guess, enveloped into the UK, then that would be a huge disaster. The Republic would completely revolt and explode.
So you pretty much just leave it alone over there?
Yeah, I think that's the best, and that's kind of what my friend was suggesting, was that, the Brexit deal is going to happen. UK is going to do what it's going to do, and the Republic of Ireland and the UK are just kind of gonna like let that sit there. Just
you think that's what's going to happen?
That's kind of what he feels. He's like, no one's mentioned anything.
But because here's the thing: is the EU could step in and be like, no, you have to put a hard border.
That's the key, and so that's where then Ireland has to step back politically, and it has to go, okay, do we want to step away from the European Union? And they kind of have to make that politically.
I wonder if at that point would you not see a revolt within Northern Ireland to rejoin Ireland proper?
They're just so different.
Yeah, but like you said though, man, borders are open. It's just, while yes they are different, you still have that flow. You have the common ancestry. You have all of, and I think I think what's going to end up happening, personally, just based from a lot of the things that I've seen, is that you're going to see a lot of parts of the UK split off from the UK. They're going to invoke part of the UK charter. Scotland's already said, because Scotland voted overwhelmingly Remain, like 84% Remain.
To really, the EU?
Yeah. When the Brexit vote happened, really the only place that overwhelmingly that said leave was England. The rest of the parts of the UK were either very closely split or Scotland was overwhelming Remain, and they've said from the beginning, if Brexit happens, we're leaving the UK.
Yeah, and they would too. I mean, they would.
Oh yeah, they're Scottish. They're not. Yeah. That's not a bluff to call.
No, absolutely not. They would.
The minute that somebody goes, you won't do it.
Fine.
We're done.
Well, allow me to retort. Here's some papers.
Yeah, no, Scotland would do it in a heartbeat. In fact, I mean, didn't they just have a vote not too long ago to leave the UK? I mean, it wasn't that long ago that they just had that, and it was close.
If they left the UK, what would that entail?
They would just be their own country.
Yeah, independent country.
Like, back in the day, Ireland was a part of the UK. Ireland left.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm fuzzy from Ireland. I don't know enough to get into that, but I know at one point, during the potato famine, Ireland was a part of the UK.
Right.
A lot of the just fucking travesty of shit that happened was one of the major key points in them leaving the UK and becoming the Republic of Ireland.
Yeah, it's a lot more. It's a lot less romantic than most of the other wars that have happened in the past. Like the separation from Ireland from the UK is kind of dirty and messy. A lot of politics, gibber and jabbering, a lot of papers sent back and forth, a lot of threats. There was violence, yes, and there was a lot of persecution of both the Irish people and even the English people in Northern Ireland. So it was bad on both sides, and I don't think it was pretty. And like I said, it was not a romantic. I think you think of like the Renaissance era wars or the Revolutionary War. Those are kind of romanticized wars that we think of as Americans.
It was not, because it was almost an industrial, early
Correct.
Industrial age, but it was a dirty process.
Very dirty, and it was very barbaric. I mean, they had like advanced technology that they had never had before. They had access to things they'd never had before.
Bombs.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
it was very a lot of bush fights, a lot of like hedge fights, a lot of. It was very barbaric in the way that they fought that war. And it never really was a win or a lose. I mean, I guess you could technically say that Ireland won; they got their independence. But it wasn't without like a lot of loss, and they still were sanctioned to do a lot of their trade and stuff with England. They had to; they didn't have a choice.
Yeah. And it was like that before. That, honestly, I was in the Extra History series that I watched on the potato famine. They talked about that. Like, the potatoes died because of the rot. They couldn't buy potatoes or grain or anything from the United States, who was selling it stupid cheap because we had a boomer year that year.
Right. Yep.
What happened was they had to buy it from England, who was like buying from the United States. I don't know what you want to call it, because it's not the state of England, the district or whatever. Sure. Providence. The Providence of England is buying up all the stuff from America and then selling it back to the Irish at a markup.
Naturally.
Which is one of the
huge
things that drove it through. Yeah. Because they were trying to reform the Irish. I have a lot of Irish ancestry, so while there's a part of me that feels like, it's the motherland. Like, I really hope things work out. Like, I'm not gonna, like, not to throw stereotypes. I'm not gonna start building a car bomb, but I do hope that there's a peaceful resolution to all of this. I hope that it's not economically crippling for North or South Ireland. Because I think I think my ancestry comes from like North Ireland, like not South Ireland.
Well, that explains a lot.
Yeah.
It does.
But no. So and it's just I don't know, man. It's an interesting. It's sort of like I said, it's like the motherland. Now, granted, my family left there like 400 years ago. We were some of the first people to settle in the United States. Oh, also, you ready for this interesting fact? Do you know what the difference between somebody that's Scotch Irish and Irish is?
What?
They invented the term Scotch Irish to designate people of Irish descent who immigrated to the United States before the potato famine. Because the potato famine immigrated like shit. That's why, like New York, a lot of your firefighters are Irish, and it's a family legacy. And it's the same with police. There's a lot of police that are Irish, and it's a family legacy because that was the only jobs that they could get when they got here because people looked down on them. Now, for those of Irish descent who had already been in the United States, they're like, oh, no, we're Scotch Irish. It's different.
Yeah, that's
where the term comes from.
Well, and I mean, I think people forget a lot that, Irish immigrants were they were looked down upon as such a low class of human being that, I mean, it was, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there, obviously. Neither were.
They were mistrusted. There was a lot of mistrust. And this is going to sound so fucked up from looking at it from a modern perspective. But the big dividing thing was that they were Catholic. Yeah, Americans have, like, for a huge portion of our history, were not cool with Catholics at all. In fact, when, it was JFK was the first Catholic president. And the whole fear, you didn't run as a Catholic before because they would always say, like, is he loyal to the United States or is he loyal to the Pope? That was a prevalent ideology well into the 1960s.
So my grandfather,
you can tell.
My grandfather was a pastor in Northern Ireland, northern Georgia, and he actually has a sermon on a cassette tape somewhere. I think it's probably in my uncle's house, where he preaches against voting for that Catholic. And I was like, wow, that's pretty. Yeah. Like he wouldn't even name him
that Catholic.
And
the really only region of the United States that's ever been really cool with Catholic is Maryland, because it was founded by Catholics. Like,
right.
Maryland is, we say it Maryland now, but when it was originally deeded over as a thing, it was Maryland, the land of Mary, the Virgin Mother. Yeah, it was a Catholic colony, essentially.
Makes sense.
But outside of Maryland, Catholicism has been looked down, and it's even here today.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there are some people who just absolutely believe that the Catholics do not worship God, that they are Satan worshipers. And as a hedonist myself, I take high offense to that because not even close.
But and it's very opposite on the other side. So in Ireland, and full disclosure, why I was in Ireland, I was actually there as a missionary. So, what you're kind of taught and what you experience while you're there is that if you were born in the Irish Republic, you are born Catholic, and that is just it. It's final. There is no other thing. It's kind of like the closest a friend of mine related it to me this way is like if you were born into an all-black family but you were white, they would tell you and preach to you that you were black, and through your entire life you just believe that you were black. It's just you would, until you were old enough to be able to make up your own mind, or someone told you, or you kind of got out of that society and they told you, hey, no, you're not, you're and so that's kind of how it is over there. You're just born Catholic. And so, there's really no, it's very interesting because the community that it breeds because of that. So the Catholic Church, for instance, is huge over there, and it's very structured, very staunch, and it's very big, I guess is the best way to put it. Kind of how, here in America we have mega churches, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Over there they have mega cathedrals is a better way to put it, but I mean they're everywhere.
Right.
And that's just how the culture works. Over
And-
here
and- Sorry,
It's like-
oh, go ahead. There's a little bit of lag, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. And like I said, that's how it is here in the States. You see, like, the mega church has a huge influence on the community around here, or a community around its buildings, or community around its structures. It has a huge influence on that area. The Catholic Church, instead of having a huge influence on an area, it has a whole influence on a whole country and a whole community in that country. And so it's very interesting to see that dynamic. And from my point of view, I got to go to Presbyterian, Baptist, and Methodist churches that over there are a congregation of 5 or 6 people. Whereas over here, you go to a Methodist, Baptist church, Presbyterian church, you're going to see 60, 100, 200, 300 people.
Yeah.
Over there, you're lucky to see maybe 5 in a building. It's
And-
just
and-
so different.
Yeah, and this really is like that's a lot of what the historical animosity between Ireland comes from. When England leaves the Catholic Church, King Henry VIII starts the Church of England, and it's not Catholic. It's sort of Catholic, but it's not Catholic. They don't look, And then the Irish people are like, no, fuck, we're Catholic. What are you guys doing? And then like that mistrust, and then honestly, you look at the majority of the settlers to the United States in our history comes from those areas, and they bring those same biases and prejudices with them. Protestant good, Catholic bad, or Catholic bad, Protestant good, and yeah, there are some,
or they bring that animosity with them. Like I thought of this earlier, and not to turn this into a discussion on religion, but
We talk about everything here.
If you're brought up in just a Catholic lifestyle and just a Catholic way of thinking and believing, and you're given the opportunity to kind of come out of that, you may swing that pendulum, away from that because you were brought up in it. I mean, there's a lot of cases and a lot of stories of Irish immigrants that came over to America that were Catholic, but they left Ireland because the Catholic dominance was so strict and so harsh that it kind of left a scar on their family to the point where they came over here running away from that idea, and they kind of swung over to more of a Protestant way of thinking because of that. And that's a very interesting kind of timeline to kind of follow, because Catholicism can be very harsh to certain individuals, especially if you're brought up in it and that's all you know, and then you kind of introduced to other ideas outside of that life.
Right.
So you kind of get to see that, and you kind of get to see that struggle with the Irish people if you live there or if you go there, because you have them, like I said, you have these churches with 5, 6 people go into them that are Baptist, and you see Irish people come in there and they go, what is this? This is weird. This is unnatural. It's not something that I'm used to. And I'm not saying like they're not uneducated. They know what different denominations are. They know what different sects are of the church. But I think that because they're brought up in that culture that you're born Irish or born Catholic, it's just a huge kind of awakening experience for them to see something different.
Mm-hmm.
And it can kind of go either way. Like sometimes you have people that are staunch, Catholic people, and they will defend it to the end, to the point of violence.
Right.
I got to see both sides. So, to the point that it's scary, and to the point that it's almost kind of freeing to see somebody go from, oh wow, there's more out there than just this. It's kind of like, over here we have the Amish.
Yeah.
It's kind of like taking an Amish person and bringing them into the world and kind of showing them that lifestyle and seeing what their reaction is. It's similar, I think.
Wow. Interesting.
Sorry for that tangent.
Oh, that's fine, man. That's what we're here for. Parker's mulling over. He's got the
I
bowl.
have no idea. I have no idea what you guys were saying because it froze on me.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you were really seriously thinking there. Like you had this.
Like I'm like completely engrossed, and then it was just like sometimes it goes out and I can still understand, but that time it was about.
Well, needless to say, that it's very fascinating to just experience a different culture in general. I mean, I think it would be the same way as if you went to Moscow, for instance. Any other country that's got a domineering or a dominant, either a dominant religion or a dominant political system,
Mm-hmm.
any country that has that, just to see the way that they live within that culture is very fascinating compared to ours. I mean,
Yeah,
I guess you really don't think about how free we are here in the States when you live in or you experience a country like that.
Yeah, and honestly, when I was at Western, it wasn't about like the verbal part. It wasn't about learning other languages. It was about understanding culture and what that means. And it was very interesting. I'm pretty sure that my teacher smoked pot.
Right on.
Let me preface that.
And Western's numbers just went up by 20%.
He had a massive ponytail. He wore a hippie vest. The background of his computer at work was further, which is all the guys left of the Grateful Dead with new people filling in to make new music. And he always was putting in Visine before class. But
but
this statement at the beginning of class was like the what confirmed for me is like, this is a heart class. This is not a head class. He's like, I'm going to make you evaluate who you are as a person, and where the society you grew up in, how that affected that. And he goes, you're more than just what you think you are. And it really opened my eyes. I used to shy away from Appalachian accent. Like, if you had met me before I took this class, you wouldn't know that I was from the middle of nowhere. Because it was something I was ashamed of. I worked really, really hard to not sound like a redneck hillbilly. And after I took that class, it wasn't an issue for me anymore because I understood, while the rest of the world doesn't, for me, the rest of the world may perceive like the rural Appalachian culture as, once again, ignorant redneck hillbilly, but there's so much to it. It's highly family oriented. It's strong work ethic. It's coming together to help a stranger in your community just because they need help. There's a lot of aspects of Appalachian culture that are things to not be ashamed of, and I'm more than just a North or an American growing up in your individual region. And there was a lot of like the light bulbs start coming on, man. Like he was talking about, God, I forget, it's some card game. It's not one of like the standard card games, but like everywhere has their own rules. No, it wasn't a card game, it was Monopoly. We're talking about Monopoly, right? And the house rules with Monopoly that people play with. And just in North Carolina, like all the people, because it was a state school, so we're assuming everybody there's from North Carolina. There was a few not, but beside the point. But just for generalization, like every little pocket of North Carolina had different house rules on Monopoly, and a lot of that came from the culture in those areas. Not all North Carolinians are the same, and then even within like the region, so like people from the mountains are different than the people on the coast, and they're different from the people in the Piedmont. It's just a different culture that they grew up in. But even beyond that, like the northern part of the mountains is different from the southern part of the mountains. Like there's these pockets, and it affects your culture, the culture that affects who you are as a person and how you perceive the world. And it was really interesting. And like you said, I think one of the big problems that we face as a race, as human beings, is that we fail to recognize, like really truly recognize that some things are just cultural. You and I might disagree on something, and that doesn't make either one of us less than the other. It just means we have different foundations in our lives that affect the way that we look at this same topic. And as a race, we don't we are too quick to jump and say, my way is the right way. It's the only way. And instead of sitting there and going, okay, I do things my way because of this. And you do your things your way because of that. And this is influenced by that. And that is influenced by that. And now we understand why our mindsets are different. But you can't sit there and force an ideology on people, which is just it, because it's just not there. We're all so different. An incredible quote I once heard was, "Everybody in the world is incredibly interesting and incredibly fun." Right? And we are. We're all fucked in our own. But if we would just slow down and quit looking at things through the lens of our reality and think about how other people view the lens of their reality, we might quit being such assholes to one another.
Well, and it's really fascinating when you said you time in London in England, right? So
yeah,
it's very interesting to see how they're more similar to us than I would say Ireland is, and even places like Spain or France.
Especially Appalachia, man. The English put gravy on everything.
Yeah, no, it's
a lot of gravy. I appreciate. I mean, it's just simple brown gravy. It's not my breakfast gravy, but
you put brown gravy on everything. That's good too. Yeah. Brown gravy too.
Yeah, no.
Whatever gravy, sausage gravy, breakfast gravy.
But the way that different cultures look at politics, even. I mean, I think, like, I look at, and maybe this is just from my perspective, but I almost look at some American politics as petty compared to other cultures and other countries' view on politics. Like, a lot of Irish politics, they don't really care what their politicians do unless it's go to war, steal money, high taxes, basically anything that's going to jeopardize society. How's this going to affect me? Yeah. Yeah. If it's, if it's gay marriage, if it's abortions, if it's, someone's rights to do this, someone's rights to do that, someone's right to do this, they don't really care. They just, whatever. Those politicians that we've elected, let them decide that. We don't really care. Right. But over here in the States, it's like every single little any environmental study, any medical, scientific studies, anything at all that could possibly be politicized here in the States is politicized. Whereas at least in Irish culture, now I can't speak for everywhere, but at least in Irish culture, it's not politicized. The only time that something political is really kind of gets the public stirred up is if it's something to discuss, something rather serious. And that doesn't, I'm not to say that the public is disconnected from the political system over there, because they are extremely knowledgeable of their political system. In fact, to the point that it impressed me and kind of scared me a bit, because I wasn't as plugged into my own political system as an American as they were to theirs. Interesting. So I kind of came over there and they're kind of spouting off all of this stuff that their representatives were doing, and I'm like, you know that? Like, why do you know that? Like, why do you know that your representative is voting for a decline in taxes of candy bars? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I wouldn't know that. I don't know what my representative is. I don't even know who he or she is.
And honestly, I think that we go into what you're saying there. I think the problem with that that we have in America, and I'll say this, is that we feel like we should have an opinion on everything. Yeah, and that's why everything gets politicized. I don't have opinions on a lot of shit. Yep. A lot of things. I don't care. I really could give a shit less. But I know some people that have to have an opinion on everything. Yeah. Absolutely. Every little thing, they have to have an opinion on it. And I don't understand, like, why you waste that energy? And they're loud. Like, learn knitting. Yeah. They have an opinion and learn to knit or something.
It's true. It's true. It's so, and to be honest, it kind of, here's a thought. Is that maybe something that's engraved in some of us, not all of us, because I'm kind of that libertarian mindset as well, where it's like, I just don't care. Just
You're in good company.
are we gonna go to war? Are we just gonna sit here? Okay, just tell me what.
Welcome to the millennial generation, Sam. We're all just rotten with apathy.
Just but yeah, I mean, so I lost my train of thought. I don't know where I was going with it. Well, there went that idea. It flew away. It's gone.
It was going somewhere. I could feel.
No, I could tell you exactly where it was going to go about 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, you just don't care.
It was ingrained in us, and I think that it is. I think you look at.
You can blame social
okay,
media.
go back to the culture thing. Is especially around here, everybody has an opinion, and I think that the problem, especially in rural America, like here in the mountains, is that we tie respectability, how respected you are in the community, with how many people hold the opinions you hold.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so you have people who vie for essentially status by trying to convince you that white onions are the inferior onion to put on anything, and you should only be using yellow. There's somebody out there right now, like holding court wherever he's at, just like letting the world know about the evil of white onions as opposed to yellow onions.
Oh yeah, sure.
I don't care. I prefer yellow onions. If you want white onions, good for you.
I don't care.
There's no skin off my teeth. You do whatever you want to. But there are people out there that feel like in order to be respected in the community, you have to have as many people believing the way that you do. And I think that that's sort of probably a historical, aspect of the United States of like back in the day. We didn't have nobility. So how did you obtain, what is it, essentially folk nobility?
Right.
By convincing people to think the way you think.
Yep.
The more that people thought the way you thought, the more influence you had and the more power ultimately you had. So I think it may be a holdover from that.
And going back to, it being...
I can't hear anything.
Oh, good. That's
good.
Exciting.
That's fine.
Tyler's an asshole.
Asshole.
Oh, yeah. I heard that one. It cut in.
Of course he did.
Perfect. No, I mean, going back to, for one, I got my train of thought back, but going back to your thought of it being a cultural thing, and I think you're absolutely right. I think you hit the nail on the head that it is a cultural thing. Of politics itself is a cultural thing, and even that idea that I have to be loud to express my opinion comes from that cultural. They call it a leftover cultural thing that we pulled from England or what. But those days that we were oppressed to the point we couldn't say a thing against the hierarchy that we were under.
And now we could.
And we couldn't say anything. And now, years upon years have passed, hundreds of years have passed since then. And now suddenly we can say whatever we want to say, whatever it may be. And that's not bad. But it goes back to that whole pendulum thing. Like, I feel like sometimes you can take an idea,
one extreme to the other,
idea, and just swing so far to the other side that you're just way far out of it.
Yeah, and I think that we're both on the same wavelength on that one. The other thing too, I think that we have a problem with. Okay, so at the end of the day, right? If I can take pride in being Irish, right? Like
right.
Ireland has a very rich history, super old history, a lot of cool legends. I've been reading into those here lately, like Cuca Lane, and like the old like essentially Ireland's version of the Arthurian legends, and they're really good and just horrendously brutal. Like those dudes were
so violent.
If they were real, them dudes fuck some shit up on a professional level. But so I think that the thing of it is like having, and I'm not promoting nationalism in any stretch of the imagination, but in Ireland you can be proud of that Irish history, but I think here in the United States, we don't have that common ancestry, I think that too many people want to hold on to other aspects instead of being like, yeah, I'm proud of my country, that sort of thing. I'm not promoting extreme patriotism either. I don't agree with a lot of the things that people do and claim to be patriotic, but that's beside the point. I think that a lot of it's tied to, instead of, too many people tie their identity, I'm an American, to I am, and particularly in our political structure, I'm a Republican.
Yeah.
And I'm a Democrat.
Oh yeah, that's. Yeah.
And I think that if they would sit down and realize, like, we're all like, and that's the problem. That's the core of their identity. Is I'm a Republican and I'm a Democrat, and those are the people that are the loudest. They're the ones that want you to think the way they think. And in doing so, they block out the ability to really understand each other. Because the fact of the matter is that both sides of the political spectrum, they want to achieve the same things. They want sick people to be healed and poor people to have money and the hungry to have food. Like, at the end of the day, we all want the same things, but the difference is the routes that we believe that we need to take to get there.
Right.
But because we don't, I think that in America, instead of looking at the world through this lens of, you and I are of opposite political ideologies, but we have the same goal, so let's work together. Instead, because our central identity is not that, like, hey, we're American, it's, hey, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, they don't recognize the shared goal with the opposition. And as a result, it results in hateful, aggressive rhetoric. When that shouldn't exist. We should be working together.
And so it kind of closed that, actually, because it's a really good point, is that there is, for some reason, I don't even know why it's even, and it is that way in other countries too, where you have, even in Ireland, where you have the Catholics and you have the Protestants, and they're part of that same culture, but they're just not getting together. We have that over here politically with Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, liberals, however you want to look at it. But one thing that I don't know who it was that brought it up to me the other day. I think I was on a road listening to another podcast, in fact. Someone brought up that something that unites humanity, and this isn't just a cultural thing, this is a humanity thing, something that unites us more than anything else. No religion, no politics, no celebrities, no socialism, no social causes. The one thing that unites us most of all is turmoil and chaos. And it's so true, because when the shit hits the fan, it doesn't matter. Anything that you may have felt for this person or that person, you're going to instantly want to go help them. They're part of you. They're part of your country. If me and my neighbor disagree politically or religiously or socially, if his house is on fire, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to help him out, no matter what. And that's something that I think we can look at as a broader spectrum. Is if one thing that always brings us back to humanity is, if shit hits the fan, we're going to run in there and we're going to unite. I mean, we saw a taste of it in 2011, 9/11.
You mean 2001?
Was it 2001?
Yeah,
Did I say 2011? Yeah, 2001. 9/11, when we saw the terrorist attacks, the whole country was just like, let's go get them. Let's go beat them up. Let's go bomb them. Let's go get, even the people that were, hippy dippy, let's not go to war, peace, love, everything, was all like, let's get them back. This is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go get these guys. And, they all got in there. They all pulled up their boots. They all got in there and they worked hard and they built it back up. And that's just something that I thought was really interesting, to see us as a country come together really closely. Political divisions, social divisions were kind of all put on hold during that time. We kind of got to witness that. Our generation got to witness that for the first time, too, in a while. Generations before us got to witness it on a much grander scale. World War II, World War I. And generations that are growing up today haven't yet witnessed that, and it's very
Odd to say.
It is. It is odd to say.
Yeah,
It's fascinating.
I don't necessarily. Let's see, how am I going to put this? I don't necessarily think that those that were born after are facing the same kinds of issues. I would say that honestly, I have a lot of faith for was it Gen Z, right? The ones after us, and I'll tell you why. This is a group of kids, and you see it all the time. You can let your freak flag fly, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to hide who you are. You can be the high school quarterback and be a competitive Magic the Gathering player, and that's not weird anymore. I feel like if we can make it through to the guys after us, if they get through the world and it's not just completely fucked by the time we get done with it, I think it's going to be in a good place. I really do, because they just seem like such an accepting group of people where you're not. You don't see the cliques anymore when we were in high school. You don't see that.
That's true.
They're more accepting of people. Just do what you love.
Yeah.
And I think that what happened is they didn't. They experienced that 10-year unity bubble.
Yeah.
In their formative years. They, unlike us who saw the division, and then they were formed by that unity. They grew in that. That was that encapsulated the world that they came to understanding in. And I really, really hope they just carry that on, and that they don't. I mean, I don't agree with the whole generalizing generations thing. It's absolute shit if you look into it. But for the most part, I hope they don't become jaded like our generation. As a whole, millennials are narcissistic and jaded. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our generation.
And all the hope that we don't have, they got.
Yeah.
And if we can just keep the shit together till they take the reins.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just worried about the time that the first true millennial is the president, right?
Oh.
And he's just sitting there and he's like, you know what sucks? Mondays. You know how we solve that? Nukes.
We're getting rid of them. Make a new calendar.
Do what? It froze up.
Oh, I said, get rid of them. We're making a new calendar.
All of that.
They're gonna nuke the Mayans.
Nuke the Mayans.
Mayans, you're in the Mayan calendar. We're done with it.
That's not very PC. We're just nuking a calendar.
I'm just
it's I don't like the whole generalization of generations either. It's very because when you do say millennial, it's
Adam ruins everything as a very interesting on generations. I don't know if that one's on Netflix, but I've seen it.
I need to watch his show. I've actually watched a few previews, but I've never watched it.
No, I take that back. It's not an Adam Ruins Everything. It's Adam, what's his name? I forget what his last name is. It's the guy from Adam Ruins Everything as the keynote speaker at a marketing conference. And he's telling all these marketers how bullshit generations are. Because it was a conference on how to market to millennials. And he's like, you're all full of shit, and let me explain why. And I was like, okay, all right. It's 30 minutes long. It's really good. It's probably on YouTube. You can probably find all bullshit science. Yes, there are certain trends within people of a certain age, but then how do you group them?
Yeah.
He's like, essentially, it's all about selling books. It's the whole point of the generational thing.
Selling books.
Trying to group the three of us
selling marketing books
would be extremely difficult because we're three very different individuals, I would say.
Too, and I've talked to Brian about this. Here's the thing that the whole generation study doesn't affect taking into account culture, right? So technically, Brian and Marty are millennials based on the accepted definition of the year is what they're millennials. However, and I'm not talking shit on my hometown and area, but because typically, from a cultural standpoint, we're 10 years behind everywhere else. They fit the fucking mold for Generation X.
Yep.
Marty is the poster boy of Gen X.
Yeah.
Marty, if you're watching this, I love you to death, and you know this is true. But
you don't belong to that
according
generation.
According to definition, he's a millennial. According to reality, poster boy for Gen X. So that's it's all bullshit anyway. And like I said, but there are certain traits that are shared amongst, and one of them amongst our generation. And it's not saying that everyone is, but a good majority are just fucking jaded pieces of shit.
It's true.
And for the most part, Gen Z are hopeful. All the hope that we didn't get, their cup runneth over.
Yeah, I remember fighting a friend of mine to the bitter end because I was convinced that since I was born in '86 that I was not a millennial, I was a Gen Xer. Fortunately, I was wrong. I was like, oh man,
dang millennials, gotta ruin everything.
I know. I was trying to talk smack on them, and I can't now because dang it.
And this is what I hate about like the whole when it comes to like people making commentary on a generation is most of the people they're talking about are not the millennials.
Yeah,
they're Gen
true.
Z.
Yeah.
It's and the ideological like border is, did you grow up with like essentially were you an adopter?
No,
well, in high speed internet, were you an adopter of high speed internet and Web 2.0, or was it always there?
Right.
And that's like the cutoff. And so like a lot of times you'll hear people talk shit on millennials, and it's like, you got the wrong generation, dude. Like those, like I hate when they talk about like people, like kids in high school. You're fucking stupid. If you're gonna throw millennial around, learn the damn definition, for Christ's sakes. Like, but yeah, and it's the whole thing. Yeah, the Adam ruins everything, which is very interesting. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I hear all the time is that generation's so attached to phones. Well, technically, my generation didn't have these. I mean, if you want to look at it,
I want to throw this one at you. Angie's a boomer, and she's on her phone more than I am. She's on her phone more than the rest of the family.
Yeah, people.
Angie's my mom, by the way.
Yeah. 40-year-olds and up are way more on phones, way more than we are.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious.
Me and Sam are both in IT, and we're not on the phone that much.
Right.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is about our job, but.
But yeah, no, it's the whole like phone thing. That one's totally bullshit. But I love reading things. Like, God, one of my favorite things I like to look at is all of the industries that millennials have killed.
Oh, one of my favorite comebacks is like people complain about millennials, like older generations. Like, well, who raised us? Y'all did.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you're the participation.
Well, you fucking gave them out.
Who was in charge?
Who gave those out?
Who handed that to me?
Yeah.
Who was on the board of the local Little League? When that went up?
Speaking of,
no.
They don't give those out anymore, right?
What, participation trophies?
Yeah.
What do they give out? High fives and cupcakes?
No, they don't give out anything. I just thought that was really interesting.
And this is you know what really infuriates me about the whole participation trophy thing? There's not a goddamn soul that ever got a participation trophy that ever thought that meant anything.
Yeah.
You all knew exactly what that was. That was a memento to commemorate this year we were on this team.
And if you were me, you took that thing home and you threw it in the trash.
Exactly.
That's what you did.
I don't still have those.
I did.
They aren't on my wall.
No, that's exactly what I did. I was like, yeah,
but
I don't want this.
But yeah, and that was the thing though. Was like they're like, oh, it's because you got like nobody believes that they were the winner because everybody got a trophy. We all knew what the fuck it was.
Yeah.
We grew up in some of the most fucked up times in the goddamn country. We knew exactly what y'all were doing. It was, hey,
what'd you say? Sorry.
Blah. Tell Eric to come get on the show.
They said you can come be on the show if you want. Nope.
No.
Worth a
That's
try.
big enough.
But that was the whole.
We'll get
thing with
ladies
it.
on here one day.
God.
We do have women in our lives, we promise. So.
One out of three here.
Not in the 333 there, Sam. I'm not stating.
Sorry,
Anyway,
guys.
but yeah, no, and it was like I said, we all knew what it was. But no, one of my favorite ones was like motorcycles, and they were talking about the fact that Harley Davidson's moving their shit, their factory over to China, and they're like, it's because millennials aren't buying motorcycles. It's not true. It's not true at all. Millennials are one of the highest motorcycle owning groups in like since motorcycles were around. I think we're actually like the second highest group of people that own motorcycles.
I didn't even know that. That's wow.
They're not
Parker
buying
owns two.
Harleys because yeah.
Parker has two motorcycles. They don't run, but he has two.
I have two that don't run.
And a Jeep that don't run.
That says a lot, actually.
I got two that don't run. I got a Jeep.
And a boat.
I need screws on that one. You and I need to talk after this.
You know, if this podcast gets popular, you're just going to get like a plethora of screws in the mail one day. Just like boxes.
They're aluminum machine thread screws with hex heads. If this takes off, I know they're machine thread. I don't know what size. Just send me what you got. Appreciate
Seriously, you
it.
with a pallet.
But no, they're not buying Harleys.
Yeah.
They're buying old '80s motorcycles.
Fixing them
Like
up.
you look at the motorcycle scene right now, like what's popular? It's not chopped Harleys. It's like Japanese motorcycles from the '80s that they go in and they cut and they modify because they pick them up cheap, and that leaves you all the more money to do with it what you want.
Right.
People aren't buying, like millennials aren't buying Harleys because one, they're expensive. They leak oil. I'm not even going to number them now. They're expensive. They leak oil. Most of them, not all of them, most of them are air cooled, which means no radiator. So if you're slow in traffic, they overheat and melt the fuck down. And I'd say the biggest one is nobody wants the participation trophy of being in the goddamn Harley owner. The biggest participation award in the world. You get to be a part of a motorcycle club because you bought a Harley. Suck a dick. That is the most participation trophy shit I have ever heard of in my life.
Oh.
And according to South Park, we don't all want to be. I'm not going to say that one.
Yeah.
But you know the South Park episode with the Harley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Millennials aren't buying this because we're not.
That's such a good episode.
Yeah, I've been rewatching South Park. I just put it on to have background noise and
it's
walk down
good
memory lane.
Well, y'all got any final thoughts before we get on out of here? I think
I got
that was a no.
nothing.
Yeah, no. Nobody ever does.
God bless Ireland, and I hope everything works out for the best. I actually kind of hope that Northern Ireland secedes
Good for them.
and joins regular Ireland, and then Scotland joins in there too, and they call themselves the
Better United.
the Greater Kingdom.
The Greater Kingdom.
The Greater Kingdom of Scotland and Ireland, like nobody's.
The Wales breaks off too while they're at it.
Huh?
Wales
Yeah,
breaks
Wales
off.
Wales just kind of like,
Yeah.
Hey, we're the even better. They just don't even.
Wales shows up with like their Welsh language and no one knows what they're saying. They're all drunk. I don't know if you ever heard Welsh spoke, but it's weird. It's out there. It sounds like
really
a drunk
weird.
dude stumbling through language.
It's like a redneck. It's like a redneck English Scottish person.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about their accent. Welsh language.
Like the actual language. I've
Yeah,
only heard
it's
it a
like
few
all.
times.
It's like 80% L's, Y's, and W's. Yeah.
Well, it's like
like-
Gaelic. Gaelic's everywhere in Ireland, and they even teach classes on it still today. And it's ridiculous of how complicated and annoying it is. Well, annoying to us as Americans, I guess.
Right.
It's not annoying to them. I'm sure to them it's probably very.
Probably easy to pick up. To them.
But yeah.
Let's see. Oh, one more question before we go to this. Traditional Irish toast. It's like sláinte.
Cilantro?
Sláinte? Cheers.
Is that how do you pronounce it?
Sláinte.
How's it spelled?
It's kind of spelled like sleigh. It's SLOUGHA.
What?
That doesn't help me.
SL.
I've seen people say it, and it sounds like they're saying cilantro.
Slancha. It's
Cilantro.
It's French, I think, originally. But yeah, it's spelled really weird. But everything in Ireland is spelled really weird. Like there's this place that I lived at called Donegal. It's spelled like dog long hair. Seriously, if you look at it, you go dog long hair.
I'm done.
And you're just like,
you know what, Ireland? That statement's changed my mind. I don't care. I don't care anymore. Welcome to the no opinion pile. No. I honestly though I do hope something they come to a peaceful resolution with everything. I hope that the things that I've been seeing online, that people are afraid of the resurgence of the IRA and stuff. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope everything works out for the better. Sam, thank you so much, man, for coming on and giving us your insight on this. Fans, if you were looking for normal good,
you cut out Parker. You gotta do it again.
try that one more time, buddy.
Where am I starting over from?
I don't care. All the way.
Fans.
All of it?
Welcome back to another episode of Long Road.
All right, here we
Do
go.
it again.
Guys, we filmed the hell of an episode earlier, but none of it saves. This is the episode for the week. Don't have opinions on everything. Fuck bitches, get money.
That's like every week.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, sorry, fans, for
Wow.
this being a serious episode. Well, because it's not normally what it's normally we tell stories. This is really in depth. This is different. I liked it, and if you guys liked it, let us know in the comments down below. What's your opinion on some of the things we talked about? What do you guys think about the whole Ireland hard border situation? Do you think England's going to go through with it? Because apparently there's a new movement to try to get out now because they can't get a deal. Like the EU, England goes to the EU and they're like, "This is what we want," and the EU's like, "No," and they were like, "Well, if you don't give us this, we're going to leave anyway." And they're like, "Okay, are you sure?" And I was like, "Wait, are you sure?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's fine. Just go ahead." And now they're like not getting anything.
Yeah, now they're like going back, going, "Hey."
They thought that they were going to be able to like finagle some good stuff out of this, and it just the EU's like, no,
They are not
Sorry, dude.
negotiating.
they're like, we do not negotiate with terrorists. And so like that's going on. So it might not even. But assuming it does, what are you guys' thoughts? Man, we had some really interesting conversation on culture and stuff like that. What's your opinion on that? Should I turn my redneck up a little bit? It comes out when I'm really tired.
Oh, for sure, my dude.
It's been higher this episode
Yeah.
because I'm exhausted.
Does mine come out at all? Like, I don't even know.
No, I've never known you to have an accent.
It's soft.
Except for when you get a little
It's
drunk,
soft.
you do get Irish when you're drunk.
Do I get Irish when I get drunk? Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
red
your
beer
accent
shows.
is
Yeah.
your accent's like middle Georgia. I feel like southern accents range from like middle to Charleston, South Carolina.
Yep.
Makes
That's true.
And yours is close to that middle Georgia thing. I have family that have like that deep Charleston accent.
Y'all.
Fuck, I wish I had that.
Y'all.
Oh,
So
like
pretty.
they don't say daddy. Like when they talk about like their dad, it's like, oh, where daddy at?
Diddy.
It's daddy.
Diddy.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, no, deep episode.
Very
if you
good.
like this, let us
I
know.
might have to cut this up into pieces and just like upload them.
God, this is awesome.
We got a bunch of good stuff
Yeah,
in here.
hope it wasn't too deep for you fellas.
Who's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
watching? Well, Sam's normally our only viewer, but he's in this one, so.
I'll probably watch it anyway.
We're gonna get one less viewer this week. I watch every episode, to be honest with you.
I watch it.
I want to see how they come out. I watch every episode, mostly
Spend
because we need them view
of,
counts.
3 hours in a car at least twice a week. So.
Well, here's an hour and a half for you.
Yep.
Man, we went that long.
Yep.
I didn't even. I honestly, dude, I thought we'd been talking for like.
Yeah.
I thought we were getting close. I didn't know we were that far.
I threw up to one. Didn't even notice.
The camera kept freezing. I don't know.
It's true.
There was one time it froze. Like Sam was talking. This one, the camera froze and the vocals didn't. So the boat
Oh,
was coming
wow.
in fine, but Sam's face was like, but it was like he was in the middle of saying something, so like his cheeks were blown out and his mouth was just like a.
There's a thumbnail just waiting to happen.
Yeah.
When you guys go back through and you see this part where I'm like looking at the screen and I do this number, that's me trying not to laugh.
Well, see, you made that face, and I thought you were reacting to what I was saying. I was like, well, that's an odd reaction.
That's
All right.
this is Sam's blown out mouth.
I saw that. I was like, "What are you doing?"
Trying not to crack up in the middle of a serious conversation. Anyway, if you like this episode, hit us with a like. If you like to listen to us talk, and apparently I like Sam, just think I have the most velvety awesome voice ever. Hit that subscribe button. Let's see what else. We're on social media as things.
It don't matter. They're listed below. Just we can probably skip that.
Yep.
Take 10 minutes out of this outro.
Yep.
I'll put
Logan
Sam
on
Sam's.
social media as things. You know what? I don't even know. I feel like my standard, set like ending for not appropriate, but we're gonna do it anyway.
Do it anyway.
Good luck. Godspeed. Try not to die.
Some stories and some friends.
I still.
Good job, guys.
Woo!
Hey, thanks for having me on.